Hello, what's up, everyone? My name is Grenia V. Benicito, and today I'm going to walk you through the continuation of our report, which is entitled Sexual Behavior. I have read an article online wherein researchers suggested or stated that sex should be considered or should be placed in the category of our human basic needs. These researchers argued that sex should be placed alongside food, shelter, water, um, clothing, and I find it kind of funny because if sex really is a vital form, a crucial aspect of our survivability, then probably I'd be dead by now. Anyway, anyway, I think it is pretty natural for us to be extra pumped up, to be alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic when the topic is about sex, right? Type 1 if you agree. Anyway, unfortunately, I am not going to discuss about the pleasurable aspect of sex in today's meeting. Instead, I am going to talk about the exact opposite of pleasure. I mean, it's fine though because it's as if the universe's way of telling us that life is not always about pleasure. So yeah, let's get this started. First, we have sexual response dysfunction. These are certain conditions wherein an individual could not engage into sexual activity because of certain factors that hinders them. So, some people experience difficulty or problems in some of sexual phases. So, these problems are factors that you know that keeps them from going all out in their sexual activity. So there are examples of sexual response dysfunction. First, we have sexual desire disorder. It happens when an individual has low levels of desire or has an aversion to sexual activities. So basically, when an individual loses interest in engaging to any sexual activity, I guess the primary factor here is stress, because stress promotes exhaustion, and when you are exhausted, you cannot go on, you cannot perform any more tiring activities such as sex. So you completely lose interest and you completely lose desire in engaging into sexual activity. The second one, we have sexual arousal disorder. It happens when individual has problems in achieving necessary physiological state for copulation. So the difference between this and the previous disorder is that this you have in this one you have the desire, however you cannot sustain it. You cannot you cannot exhibit a physiological state that is necessary for copulation, which means that a great example of this one, the prominent example of this one is the erectile dysfunction that are most common in men, wherein their penises cannot are unable to erect in an erect at all or erect in a continuous manner. So third one, we have orgasmic disorder. It happens when an individual has problems in achieving orgasm. So imagine when you are at your peak, when you are at your climax, and you cannot just release that orgasm. You cannot just release that rasengan. You cannot just release that, and it will be frustrating. It will be disappointing in your part, and it can lead to a bad day. Anyway, we have the fourth one. We have sexual pain disorders. So when there is an experience of pain during the sexual response cycle, I think that in having sex, pain is inevitable. However, when pain exceeds or when pain overpowers pleasure, that's the time that you need to worry, because a sexual activity is meant to be enjoyed, meant to you have to live the moment. How however, when you are hurt, when you are experiencing pain, it hinders you from achieving that state of being. Now we proceed to the origins of sexual dysfunction order disorders. First, we have organic, which means it springs from your inside. Your bodily functions, your physiological state are impaired or are having problems. Next, we have psychosomatic, wherein your it primarily concerns your psychological state, which means when you are bombarded with thoughts, when you are clouded with unnecessary or necessary concerns in your personal life and you think about it all the time, it clouded your judgment and it it it, it will be the main reason why you cannot enjoy your happy moment. Now we have gamut of interventions. So these are the interventions as well that can lead to disorders or dysfunctions. First, we have biomedical. So when you are we are currently undertaking or taking medicines. So these chemicals, there are chemicals out there that that lessen your ability to go all out in a sexual activity. And when you are previously undergone a surgery, it can be a factor as well. The second one, we have psychosocial. So it is in your psychological aspect. When you are extremely stressed, it your psychological aspect translate into your body, translate into how you perform. So when you are stressed, chances are you cannot perform well in your sexual activity. Next, now we have paraphilia. So paraphilias, these are atypical sexual behaviors among humans. So atypical basically means irregular, unusual. So we have our typical sexual behaviors such as sexual intercourse, such as oral anal sex, right? So now these behaviors are considered atypical because first, they are not prevalent, they are not widespread, they are not recognized, they are actually even considered as not morally ethical. Second one, we have they are dangerous to self and to others. They can be harm inflicting, they can be risk, they can provide sex. They can promote risk. Next, we have they are bizarre and are not socially acceptable. So the society is not yet willing to accept that behavior because I believe those behaviors are truly unacceptable. Next one, we have they are distressing either to the doer or to other people involved in the act. So among these atypical sexual behavioral variations, which is also considered by the APA as a disorder, is paraphilia. So let's find out more about paraphilia in the next following slides. Following slides. So paraphilia occurs when an individual is sexually aroused by an object, a person, or a circumstance that are unusual. So you are aroused in a factor that is atypical, that is irregular, such as it can be pain inflicting, humiliating, and non-consenting. It is very problematic because in any activity you engage, you have to have consent, right? Even in non-sexual activities, consent is a must. Now, a paraphilic disorder is when the urge or act lasts for at least 6 months and is a manifestation of clinically significant distress. So, paraphilia is a serious issue. It should be treated as a serious one, and it can be that needs serious attention, immediate attention, medical attention. So some of the common paraphilic disorders are as follows. First, exhibitionism, pleasure from exposing one's genitals to non-consenting people. So who's in his or her right mind that will expose their genitals into the public, right? So as you can see in the meme photo, ba't mo nilalabas yung titi mo? It's a capture from a woman that is experiencing a harassment from a man, a mid-30s man that is exposing his his genitals. It is very uncharacteristic and unethical. Next, we have fetishism, arousal from non-living objects, and it could also be the arousal from the body parts. Like if you are aroused by a doll, by a banana, those are fetish. Those are your fetish. And in this picture, it shows foot fetishism. As you can see, the boy glorifying the foot of someone. Next, we have voyeurism, touching or rubbing one's body or genitals to non-consenting people. This is very problematic because it happens mostly on secluded on areas, on transportation areas wherein there is a need for compression. I mean, it is inevitable that there are that the bodies could be touching. Now, what I think is the most problematic part is that instead of getting away with that experience, or instead of avoiding that sexual behavior or respecting other people na lang, diba? Some people take advantage and will rub their genitals to other people, to non-consenting people, and it's very undesirable characteristic, and it's very disrespecting. Next, we have pedophilia, arousal from children. This is also very problematic because children are involved, and if there is worse than a rapist, it would probably be a child rapist. Next, we have sexual masochism, arousal from actual suffering or humiliation. So when you are when someone is having that sexual urge or sexual pleasure, when he was suffering, when he was getting that pain, is it's called sexual masochism. Some people even normalize it, like they tell, "Choke me, daddy," phrases like that. But I know it's just as an expression, but some people actually do it, right? So sexual masochism, it is it is permitting yourself to be hurt just to get that sexual manifestation or representation. Next, we have sexual sadism, arousal from actually inflicting pain to others. So this is the complete counterpart of sexual masochism. In this one, you are the one inflicting pain. You are the one hurting others to gain sexual satisfaction for yourself. Next, we have transvestic fetishism, arousal from wearing clothes by the opposite sex during sexual activities. These are common in heterosexual men, in straight men, wherein they wear they wear the undergarments of their partners or of other people, the one that they like, to improve, to intensify their sexual pleasure. Next, we have voyeurism, observing other people engage in sexual activities. So when you are fun of just in the sideline, just watching them perform, it's very unethical as well. So I just want you all to remember that paraphilia is a serious matter. It is um a serious issue that we need to address. And and if ever you know someone that is being abused with these sexual behaviors, you have to report it directly to the authorities. Because and I'm also um relieved that there are laws against this sexual behavior, such as we have laws against pedophilia, we have laws against voyeurism, and I know we can have other acts or bills as well to to reprimand this kind of uncharacteristic acts. So yeah, so the summary is the behavioral aspect of human sexuality provides a holistic perspective as to how physiological and psychological elements cause towards actions. In certain cases, behaviors often serve as an indicator whether an organism is functional or having problems. So that's it. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Good day. Bye bye.